Take two. Hi, everyone. My name is Marie Ryan, and I'm going to facilitate tonight's public forum on disability and provincial policy. I'm a long-term member of the disability community, and I call myself a forever advocate of equity and inclusion. I think it's really interesting that while very unwelcome, the technological issues we are facing this evening are a little taste of some of the challenges and issues faced by persons with disabilities who may have hearing loss, be deaf, require other forms and alternate forms of communication. As Sid mentioned to you, there was ASL booked for this evening through a company outside of the province because we don't have enough interpreters available in the province. So Nancy's just going to speak to that for 1 minute.
Thanks, Marie. So I guess I want to start out with the biggest apology ever, although I don't know how I could have done anything differently. As Marie said, we did have interpreters available for this evening, ASL interpreters. They would have been available on the screen that you're seeing here with the captioning, and also available in Zoom. Literally 5 minutes before we were to start, I got an email saying that they would no longer be available, and it was a company outside of the province. That's all we were able to get tonight. And so we were left in a space of not knowing what to do. I'm very thankful to Chad, who is in the room here with us and identifies with the deaf community. Myself and another board member spoke to Chad and asked for his recommendations on what we could do to mitigate where we go from here. In this meeting, we will not be able to have ASL interpretation. That's just wrong, but it's all I can do today. What we will do is this meeting is being recorded. We will bring it to interpreters and have ASL accompany this particular video. So, and then we will post it, make it available to the community at large, and specifically to our deaf community, to ensure that any population will be able to see the events of tonight. I will follow that with a Zoom meeting next week, or as soon as we can facilitate that, so that persons of our deaf community can then contribute in the same way with the same information that you're all getting tonight. I don't know anything we could do differently. And again, I want to thank Chad for his advice in that space. And I guess we go forward. But as Marie said, it's a little taste of some of the challenges that people who are deaf and people with disabilities face on a regular basis in our community. So again, apologies. We will go forward and hopefully be able to address this better next time. Marie, I'll pass it back to you. Thanks.
So my role as the facilitator is to make sure that this meeting remains very safe and respectful for everyone. We do have a smaller crowd than anticipated, but again, for people with disabilities who may have transportation challenges, who may not have the support, or I believe there's a full population of people out there who have just defeated in relation to issues and barriers and challenges that they face every day, and with no solutions available to them, or maybe the solutions that are available don't fit everybody's circumstances. So what I'm going to do in terms of the evening is, once I finish my quick remarks, Nancy is just going to provide a little bit of an overview of some of the really key issues that we know are pending or issues which are emerging. And then I'm going to invite people up to speak. If you cannot get to a mic, but you're interested to speak, please just raise a hand or let us know some way that you do wish to speak. We have people on Zoom. You can't see them because you're seeing transcription. But if anyone wishes to indicates via Zoom that they want to speak, we have someone in the room who's monitoring Zoom, and we'll sort of ask if someone wishes to speak here, and then if someone wishes to speak who's joining us virtually. So I think it's, again, important to say that everyone's participation is welcome. You know, my opinion is no better or worse than anyone else's. We're not looking for consensus. Everyone's circumstances are unique. So while people may have similar disabilities, they're not the same. Their circumstances are not the same. So we have to make sure that we recognize that. Words are powerful. I do a lot of facilitation, and I always say words are powerful. So we want to ensure that anything that we say this evening is respectful, not inflammatory. I realize that we're in the middle of two elections. Thank you, Canada Post, for delaying St. John's for a week. Um, so in the context of that, um, if you wish to refer to an issue, fill your boots. But I would ask that you not refer to a specific person or a specific minister with whom you've dealt. We are in the middle of an election, and well, however you want to vote, that's up to you. If you want to talk about how another party might do it differently, that's fine. But please don't refer to individuals. And I'm going to, in my role as facilitator, I'd ask people to think about not only the issues that you have, but what are the solutions for you? Because the intent of this evening is to try and inform some of the policy and programs, directions of whatever government we have in 2 weeks, so that our voices are heard. I would request that candidates in the room not speak at the beginning. This is for people with disabilities, those with lived experience. However, we should have a few minutes left at the end. We're looking to end between 8:30 and 9. So certainly anyone's here from a political space who wishes to speak, we will endeavor to absolutely ensure you get your 3 minutes. I'm like the time terminator. So I'm going to turn it over to Nancy. And once Nancy's said a few words, we'll open it up to the floor.
Thanks again, Marie. I'm not going to speak a long time. I really appreciate what Marie said about a safe space. And many of you know me. We operate in safe spaces. That's really important for us at the Coalition of Persons with Disabilities. We've been doing this a long time, and there's a lot to get done. We recognize that. At the Coalition offices, we hear some of the barriers. I don't want to highlight certain things in a way that's going to, I guess, expect individuals to only speak about those. I will talk about a couple of things, but I really hope that in the room, people will be able to bring your truth, your understanding, your barriers to the room. And I really echo what Marie said about offer us solutions so that there's a better understanding of what's a barrier for you, but what you see as an opportunity for change. It's only when we really work together. We often say that at the community level. It's only when we really work together. And we very often will say to individuals, policymakers, change makers, that we don't just want to be consulted. We want to work together throughout the process. So I think this is an opportunity to just really identify ways to do things better. Some of the things, of course, that we hear about often, you all hear it in media if it's not your personal experience. And for some of you, it's going to be your personal experience. We hear about housing often. We hear about individuals, especially people with disabilities, about the availability of accessible housing not really being there. We hear lots about affordable housing. We hear lots about, housing in general. But in the media, we don't often hear about accessible housing. But us in our community recognize that there's a real need for accessible, affordable, available housing. So that's one thing that we hear much about. We often hear about individuals, and again, from a disability perspective, we recognize across disability, but many times people who have newly acquired disability or whose disability has changed sometimes need to go to the Miller Center, for instance, and get therapies and some intensive therapies. The amount or the number of people that the Miller Center is being able to treat now and support has really diminished over recent years. And the way that treatment is happening is very different than it had been in the past. So that's another issue that we hear often at the Coalition office, and I'm sure at many other offices in our network of disability organizations, if you will. I'd also like to say, and I'm going to turn it back to Marie to open the floor in just a second, but I know that there are other organizations represented here by individuals. And as much as I want to hear from individuals themselves and their personal experience. I think it's really important to open the floor to other organizations and individuals representing groups, knowledge holders in that way. So I really encourage and welcome those kinds of conversations as well. Thanks, Marie.
Okay, so with those few remarks, as noted, if you wish to speak about an issue and hopefully bring some solutions, please just indicate. If you want to go up to the mic, you can. And if you need a mic brought to you, you just have to let us know. So. Yeah, Sid's going to bring the mic. Now, you didn't all come to look at my pretty face this evening, so.
I guess I go first.
Yes.
I'm Pastor Chad. I have been dealing with deaf community for over 2 years now. Some of the issues I want to raise is the candidates, whoever's running, don't have closed caption on the videos when they're doing the videos. I mean, it's really accessibility because some of them are really, really good, but there's no closed caption. When you put them on your cell phone, you have your cell phone closed caption, it doesn't do justice because it's the way that they talk too fast, and they're skipping some of the information. I also want to provide some solution for the housing because I've been working on this now for past couple of months. The disability tax credit is a wonderful thing that came to us, and I'm very proud of that happening. That gives us more to do with owning our home, because I have been researching that the Canadian Newfoundland Labrador housing gives up the grants for the down payment. And we qualify because I put in some numbers, and we qualify under $15,000, and we will qualify for 12,000. The barrier is the mortgage. We need to pre-approve a mortgage, and we're running our homes. A lot of landlords I've been dealing with who have disabilities in their home across the province are giving up. They're too old. They can't really take care of their apartments anymore, and they just want to go traveling and do what they want for the rest of their life. That leaves them in a limbo. So we need to break the mortgage barrier of some sort. So when we know that we have our home, we have the solution. The money is there, our DSP is there, but we can't touch it till we're 60. And that's not going to do us very good if we're going to be homeless.
Okay.
So I want to bring that to discussion because either that or I can't see anything else because the money's there. But we
Okay.
just can't touch it.
Thank you very much, Chad, for that. Yes, certainly. Do you want a mic brought to you? Yes, right there.
Mandy. Oh, Mandy, I think.
Thank you. My name is Mandy Penny, and a solution I have is for the financial programs related to people with disabilities to include like cost, not just your income. So, for example, I have a good income that I worked hard to get, like come out of income support and NL housing to get a master's degree with a job with the university. But half of my income goes to rent because I can't find affordable and accessible housing, but I can't qualify for any of the programs to help with rent or disability supplement or housing because I make too much money, but it doesn't look at your expenses due to having a disability.
Mhm. Thank you, Mandy. Yes, living with a disability has never been described as anything other than complicated and complex.
And
That's a
costly.
really good point.
Costly. And costly.
And costly.
Anybody on Zoom?
Anyone on Zoom? Okay.
I have a Facebook Live comment here. I would like to see higher seating offered in all public places. I have muscular dystrophy, and regular height seating is a huge barrier for me personally. Also for the province to allow working exemption to help people qualify to receive the provincial disability benefit.
Okay, thank you. And I think what we're hearing around that is related to often benefits are provided, but if there's clawbacks or, as Mandy just said, if you make too much money, then you just are not considered. So there's a lot of exclusions in some of the policies that we operate under. Anyone else? Yes? We'll bring a mic to you if you like. Okay. We like you already.
Hi, I'm George Sweeney. I'm chair of the Strategic Leadership Council at CNIB. I really don't know what to start with or what to say. I'm a newcomer to the world of disabilities, and I tell you, it's been a challenge, and it continues to be a challenge. I stood at a corner the other day with my dog and trying to get across the street. 22 minutes later, I was still there, and finally somebody came out of a thrift store and said, "Are you having trouble crossing?" And I said, "Yes, I am." She said, "Hang on, I'll press the button on my side." And I found out later that the button was broken on my side. You know, things like that. And that was 6 months before that. I encountered the same thing, and I had expected to be fixed, but it wasn't. You know, there's all sorts of things. We talk about the disability tax credit. You're excluded from that if you're a senior. You know, and, you know, the world is, I find that the world is nodding their head, agreeing with you when you're making your case. And then after a while, when it hits down through the bureaucracy or wherever it goes, it just wears off. And it becomes a year later, you got to go back again, state your case again. You repeat yourself over and over again. 6 years, I was trying to get a crosswalk across Commonwealth Avenue with the T-rail. And finally, it got announced a month ago. You know, there's just so much stuff, and you feel like you're being ignored. And I see why a lot of people give up. You know, they just stay home. You don't see people out with white canes. You know, we have a walk through the mall during the winter months, and we had, I think, Cindy, what was it, 15 or 18? 18, I think it was. Come out and walk the 2 floors of the Avalon Mall. You know, just to show that we can come out and would be out if we had accessible transportation. I live in a neighborhood where there's 1 crosswalk painted on the street, only 1. Right. And to do anything different than what I'm doing, I would be jaywalking, running across the street, taking chances. You know, it's not the way for us to live.
No.
And sooner or later, and I like to think that all the candidates here, and I wish there were a lot more, would realize that someday they too might be disabled. You know, disabilities and inclusion, so important in everybody's life. It's not, and by the way, it's just not the disabled. There's young kids using these same things, running across the streets, trying to catch a school bus, no crosswalk. You know, you have a young mom with a baby in a stroller out on the street because sidewalks are too bumpy to go over, you know, with all these driveway cutouts. You know, it's insane when you stop and think about it. And then all of a sudden you go through life like a lot of, I always say like us seniors, and you work and you try to help everybody along the way that you can, and you find out that there's such a drag on response for somebody to help you. You know, surely heavens, there got to be some way to make somebody listen and act. Yeah. You know, and I'm glad I came here tonight because the small numbers reaffirms that people with disabilities are struggling every single day. And then those who are working, it's a challenge for them to get home and come back again to a meeting. For those who have transportation issues, You know, there's nothing free.
No.
You know, to get a taxi, it probably, I would say the cheapest taxi ride for most people would be probably $30 one way. 40? Yeah, there you go, 40. So that's
Yeah.
$80 tonight, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And it's, we're all walking and talking proof
Mhm.
of the plight that we're heading in. And this is 2025. And it's just like we're being stuck in a hole and ignored until you get knocked on the door and ask for a vote.
Mhm.
You know, and in my neighborhood, there's only been one incumbent.
Mhm.
That'll tell you how much effect my council has
Mm.
in our neighborhood. One incumbent came and knocked on my door
Mhm.
and asked for my vote.
Mhm.
Now, in the meantime, he got more than my vote. He got an earful. You know, I had nothing to do on a nice warm Saturday afternoon, and he got an earful. You know, and I told him to take it back, and I'll go back with him when they form the next council.
Yeah.
And I'll only be too happy to state my case again.
Mhm. Mhm.
And because after a while, you know what happens after you start looking for things and trying to make life better for not only yourself, but for everybody else?
Mhm.
He's a pain in the ass.
Mhm.
You know, he's a real
Yep.
torment.
And there are decades and hundreds of us who have been probably
Yeah.
described that way.
Yeah, I know,
Mhm.
Marie.
Mhm.
It's and Nancy, you know, honestly, it's been a lifelong struggle for you guys. And as I said, I'm only a Johnny come lately.
We're
But-
glad you're here
That's right.
But
and
Yeah.
glad to have you.
That's right.
I will not let it go.
No,
You know,
good
as
for you.
long as I got breath and life in me, I got
Yeah.
nothing else to do. I can't drive anymore, so I can't go hunting or any of that stuff. So I might as well torment and try to make life better for all of us.
Well, just
know?
join the group.
Good
But-
stuff, George.
Thank
Just-
you.
The same thing though applies to seniors, you know, because I
Yes,
fall in that
That's
group.
right. Yeah.
A lot of things that impede people with disabilities are also impeding people with you know, who are aged.
That's right.
Like the
Yeah.
tax credit, that's not for us.
Mhm.
You know, and we still might have a few dollars to pay into it. It may help, but there's all sorts of things that you know, anyway, I don't want to talk anymore. And I just want to thank you for your time. And I sincerely thank you. And I thank the people who are campaigning for coming. And most of all, I thank everybody here with disabilities for your support, and keep supporting. Please keep standing up and making a difference. Silence will get us nowhere. I'll tell
No,
you
that's
that right now.
That's right. Thank you very much.
All the best, everybody.
Thank you,
Thank
George.
you, George.
Night. I just want to speak for 1 second to follow George, because I really appreciate what you said, George. But I think, you know, it's a reminder that we are 31+% of the population of this province, persons with disabilities. And that's the conservative number. You know, there is such strength and power and opportunity if we actually do come together in a real way. We won't be denied if we do that, you see. And I think that we're witnessing that moment now. I really appreciate what you said. And I think that, you know, I saw a lot of nods in the room as you were speaking, George. So there's strength in that number. And I think that we need to continue to use that. So that's a solution that you identified right there, is
Yeah.
how do we come together? Thanks.
Thank you so much. Okay. Anyone else? Yeah,
Lorna.
here in the front?
Hi, I'm
Oh,
Lorna.
Sorry, and
Hi.
then in the front.
Sorry, am I taking away from somebody else?
It's okay.
Hi, I'm Lorna. I'm actually on the board of the coalition. I was going to add something there to what George was saying. He mentioned crosswalks and roads. But another thing that's a big issue, especially in St. John's, is the clearing of the sidewalks in winter. So I think that is something that I'm on with several people who are basically stuck in the house all winter because they cannot, and one with, she has a dog as well. You can't go out, can't cross the street because of the snow that is basically not cleared correctly on the sidewalks. And that is, it's frightening because people are hurt every day, right? So I'm told, I live in Mount Pearl, and I think it's a little bit better in there. I don't know, some places probably is not. On my street it is. But I'm hearing scary stories from St. John's, and I'm expecting to hear about someone who is really hurt one of these days from the sidewalks not being cleared.
Okay, thank you, Lorna. Here in front, Sid, please. We have the best looking mic guy. Did you notice that? Just the best looking guy.
I'd like to follow that up. For everyone that doesn't know me, my name is Carrie Ann Bogdan.
I recently graduated with the distinction from Mount St. Vincent University, and I've come back to the province and I've missed every single one of you. And thank you for welcoming me home. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to be here this evening. I have a lot of different things. I'm sure as everybody else does. I'll be here for an hour. I'll talk about everything else. But some people here know my number. They know my name. They know how to get a hold of me. So whenever you're ready or whenever you can, just give me a call. I just wanted to bring up the issue about um, private snow clearing for people with disabilities that live in private housing. For example, I live in a housing apartment. It's a duplex, and I was expected to cover the cost and the responsibility of snow clearing myself. Now, I feel that's irresponsible because knowing that I physically couldn't do it, they put it on me anyway. And right now, I unfortunately cannot afford it because I'm still looking for a job. And I didn't qualify for EI when I came home. So the only thing I have is income support and the disability benefit, which is way more than anybody else has in this province. I can appreciate that. I'm also quite concerned. It was easier for me to go get around in the mainland. It was a lot more expensive, but I've seen people like ourselves in all different types of professions, doctors, nurses, everything. All of them using the bus, able-bodied, non-able-bodied, it didn't matter. So that's my questions for the politicians here this evening is how can we make St. John's similar to Halifax and other parts on the mainland?
Okay.
Because it is more inclusive and more EDIA focused up there.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Kieran.
Oh, no, it is talk. Okay, yeah.
Pauline, would you like to test your mic?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes. Keep speaking.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, now we can.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. You were talking about speaking about solutions and whatnot. And I know personally, I know from a person with a disability, different disability, we get together as a group from around the world globally, and I'm encouraging my provincial group to do the same. And I'm also going to encourage all groups to do this. And I did speak briefly with Nancy about it, but I will put it forward to you, to the whole group. As a person that lives in rural Newfoundland and Labrador, I don't usually know what's going on because there are no representatives outside of Newfoundland for the most part. If they are, they're few and far between, and you rarely hear about them unless it's a person that needs assisted worker or something like that. But if you had a couple of meetings a month, even a monthly meeting or something, to say what the coalition and what various groups, for example, there are various groups of persons with disabilities. I have not heard any action from many of them, so I don't even know if they're active anymore. Or they could be a different name for all I know, because I'm on the other side of the province. And I've tried to contact various groups, but I just can't get through on the websites. I did see Miss Hawkins, for example. She was involved with one group, I do believe Empower or somebody, but I'm trying to get involved with these various groups, Empower with Coalition, different groups, and I'm now involved with Epilepsy Newfoundland and Labrador and stuff like that. And I just think it's a good idea to get people together like this. This is a great idea. Suppose you had a Zoom meeting even once a month twice a month, maybe different times, for example, like a lot of people probably couldn't make this meeting, for example, because where they work from 8 to 4, 8:30 to 4:30 or something like that. It may have coincided with their time off or something, so they didn't clue in. And but if you had a different time as well, they could clue in at a different time, right? And you don't know who you'd get from all over giving different advice, different things that work for them, for different persons. For myself, for example, this disability, like would be seizures and things like that. For somebody else, it would be hearing impairment. For somebody else, it might be vision. It could, but getting everybody together and having that communication, I think would make people feel more as a family. And also that collection of group together would be more powerful speaking to the government or to various persons asking the questions. I hope that makes sense.
It all made sense, and this is Marie, and you've raised 2 or 3 really good issues. One of what we do know, despite the challenges we have here in the city, is that the smaller and more rural and remote communities certainly some have significant challenges around access, and sometimes inclusion. I liked what you said earlier, George, around, we have to do things for everyone, because for years and years, the community talked about access. Now we talk about inclusion, because if we develop and create an inclusive environment, then we are looking at everyone. An interesting fact that you just referenced around organizations is, and I think it's fair for me to say it, I should tell people that I've recently retired from my full-time job, so now I can really say things that I think and feel. So I should note.
Love it.
I think it's important to note that we know, I see some people here who, like me, are old and have been around a very long time, that, 20, 30 years ago, the disability community in this province was second to none stellar, with the groups, the organizations, the capacity, and the funds. Over the years, I think sometimes that government is not really as aware of the good work. I would always caution that you don't just give money because someone is something. You need to have accountability and ensure people are doing things. But there's been a real downturn in the capacity of organizations. And so if our organizations are dwindling and their capacity is dwindling, then that too has an impact. So thank you very much for bringing those factors forward.
Thanks. And I just want to speak to Pauline's point and bring the whole room up to speed. Pauline and I did speak a few days ago on the phone, and she brought forward the idea because, she had given me a lot of feedback. And I said, okay, Pauline, so what could I do at the coalition? What can I do to be different? How can I make change? And she said, well, why don't you hold these regular meetings so that I know out here on the west coast of the island what's happening? How do we do that differently? So since then, actually just today, I spoke to Sid, my board president, about that very thing. And I'm saying here publicly tonight that we will be doing that. I don't know the frequency of it. It might be every other month. It might be quarterly. I'm not really sure. But we're going to, through Zoom, in a space that is not going to cost us a lot of money, because obviously we don't have a lot of money, but something where we're going to actually attempt to really find a place where our community can come together and build that community. Like we spoke about when George spoke again, that opportunity to really come together and recognize who we are, stand up and be proud and strong together, and share. And so my commitment in this space is to actually do that. So thank you, Pauline, for bringing it forward. And I want to be challenged. I want people to come to us and say, this makes sense. Can we do this together? So thanks.
Okay, well,
I have a couple of
okay.
online
Okay.
comments and shared experience. I have one here from Jeff. Number one, I think COD and L and other disability groups should swiftly send an open letter to all party leaders for their position on the systemic disability issues, hold them accountable. Number two, there have been 0 accessibility standards passed under the Accessibility Act. The Accessibility Standards Advisory Board is a paid government-appointed board. These standards are critical to addressing countless individual barriers. That's
Okay.
one.
Did you have a second one?
I do.
Yeah.
I have 4.
Okay.
Okay, from Tom, we have a 1,200 annual contribution to the Person's Registered Disability Savings Plan, RDSP. This will begin in 2025. Qualifying persons must have a DTC and RDSP in place before this contribution can be made. They must also be of the ages between 18 to 49. Individuals and couples where one person is in receipt of the DTC with incomes below $42,404 will receive the full 1,200 annual contribution. By contributing to the RDSP, the government of Newfoundland and Labrador is contributing to the long-term financial security of persons with disabilities. Tom's question, when will the Newfoundland government figure out how to make this $1,200 to be the RSDP? It is now almost October 2025. This 1,200 was supposed to be deposited in early 2025. There's 2 more. Should I pause?
Yeah, pause. I'm just going to remind for anyone who came in a bit late that we're going to allow all of the elected candidates have a quick word at the end, or not elected, wanting to be elected candidates at the end. So anyone else here in the room wish to make a comment?
Joanne.
Yes.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sandra Cunning, and I have the distinct honor of being the president and chair of the Universal Design Network of Newfoundland and Labrador. We are a nonprofit volunteer group, and I'm very honored to work with people like Rob and Dave and Dion and Victoria and Sid and others. We come from a range of disciplines, OT, architecture, lived experience, policy, psychology. And our goal really is to provide education and support around ensuring that any environments that we build, they really meet the needs of everyone, regardless of age, gender, ability, race, ethnicity, preferred language. And I want to follow up, and this really, I think, harkens to what George was saying in terms of how do we look at the span of life and what we can do to make things livable for everyone. We've been working very closely with the City of St. John's to develop a home building checklist that corresponds with different standards, including the CSA. And what I think we would want to encourage is politically that any development that happens, one of the requirements be that the universal design checklist be employed. And I was speaking with a candidate from the Killick Coast, and they were talking about development of land that belonged to the community. And my suggestion was, well, if you're going to do that, anybody who develops that land should follow this checklist. And they said, well, residential might be on the second floor and then there'd have to be an elevator. And my response was, we are in 2025. This is not an issue. This should be standard. And this helps everyone. It helps seniors. It helps persons with differing abilities. It helps young families. Can we just remember this is 2025? And the other thing that I would suggest is real estate and developers look at this checklist as well. And just as we have livability and walkability scores, I think property should have also universal scores in how well designed they are for universal design principles. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thanks, Anne.
much. And I
Did
think
Joanne have a question?
Anne, and then we'll go to the online.
Joanne.
Victoria.
Joanne had a question.
I can't see you.
Hi, my name is Anne Picard. Thank you very much for making this space for our community to come together and talk about our experiences and perhaps offer some solutions. I was born with 2 disabilities. I'm an autistic person and I also have a hearing disability. And when I was 5, my younger sister, God rest her soul, was born with physical, cognitive, and communication disabilities. So I'll say in my family, our biggest advocate was my mother. And I agree that decades ago, things were on the rocks with help. And I know that from my own experience. So one thing I haven't heard anyone talk about tonight is the fact that we still do not have a disability advocate. And this is absolutely necessary in 2025 to have that office set up, to work with the Disability Policy Office in co-creating with the community what that office will look like. And I know I'm probably preaching to the choir here because, you know, we're all here tonight. So that's something I would like to see our government move forward with. I put my name forward to be on the advisory committee and it was full. And then I have been in communication with various levels of government about how we would go about creating that. And one thing I was very clear about is I really prefer in person. If I have to write this letter and then get one back and forth, that will flood my autistic brain. But to sit and have a conversation would be great. But the last letter I got back was, please compile all your thoughts into a document and send to me. And I'm just, you know, I'm years at this. I'm a career advocate. I create accessible spaces in my home, in my job, in my social circle. And it just saddens me that people still can't walk the sidewalks in winter, don't have accessible housing, that the supports that are in place are either not adequate or you age out. I mean, 49 to stop saving for your future? Like, I hope to be here for a little while longer, but I aged out of that a long time ago. So, you know, I
Yeah.
just think this is a beautiful group and a beautiful community here. And I'm just going to keep, you know, water on rock. That's what it takes. And I won't take up too much time, but I will just sort of echo our motto of nothing about us without us,
Yeah.
and that it takes all of our voices to help make change. And I will also just add one comment about universal design. I forget where, there she is. Hi. I did a bit of study in my master's. I went back to school to learn how to change policy and did a master's of education and learned a lot about universal design, which was, it was 50 years ago that that phrase was coined. And yes, it's about the built environment, but it's also about the learning environment. And universal design for learning is just as important. If children and lifelong learners can't access the curriculum, why even go? You know, so I don't want to be all, you know, Debbie Downer or anything. I want there to be hope, and I have to be an eternal optimist about it, or why
Okay.
keep doing this kind of work?
Absolutely.
So thank you all very much
Thank
for
you.
hearing me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So yeah, we're just going to go online and then we're going to go to you, Joanne, because I didn't see you. I'm sorry.
Hi, Petra, would you like to
Maybe
test your
Shelby,
mic?
I don't know.
Go ahead.
Petra, can you test your mic? It's not working? Okay. Would you like to type your question into the chat room and I will read it out shortly? Okay, sounds good. Kim, did you want to go ahead with yours?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
Kim, we can.
5 by 5.
There's a few different issues. Like I was going to mention the disability advocate as well. And sometimes we're just not heard, like the government is not listening. And then like when you have to get help with social assistance or housing, or if you need help with your home care, home support, all kinds of issues, if you need like things for your home to make it more accessible, sometimes they're not listening to what we need. And a disability advocate would make a big difference. And there's a number of accessibility issues around St. John's, like the snow clearing is an issue, but and curb cuts and even automatic doors are not working. Even to charity, like businesses that are like community centers, their front door is never working, like the automatic door, and in some businesses around here, and sometimes the scooters can't fit through the door even. There's a number of issues like that. And I want to mention, like, if you're in a meeting or different public places or a concert even, they don't have closed captioning for a concert or a movie or a lecture, or even in church. They don't have closed captioning for people. And then the buttons are broken sometimes to the doors. And then transportation is another big issue. Paratransit and long wait times and trying to book your rides. There's a lot of issues with transportation, with paratransit, and then snow clearing, and you can't get out. You can't get around. You go to grocery store and all those things in the wintertime. And especially if you're receiving home care, and then you can't clear your driveway so that the worker can come in. It's another issue. And then there's a number of issues and member services. Like I know of a couple organizations, like disability organizations, a lot of them have had funding cuts, and to basic needs, things that they're helping the community, they're helping consumers with basic needs and keeping them socially active, and these services are being cut. And then we're going to be more isolated all winter long and things like
Thank you.
that.
Thank you, Kimberly. That's a good long list. We really appreciate you providing all of those issues. And I liked your comment that sometimes they are not listening. Is that not true?
That's true.
Okay, so I looked at Joanne and Joby. I don't know which one of you wanted to speak.
Joanne, who's first? Ladies first?
I think if anybody who's been really involved with the disability community for quite a number of years must be thinking the same thing that I am with regard to the number of issues that are being mentioned here tonight and how long we have been talking about those issues and the solutions are still far, far away, apparently. I was glad to hear Anne and also Kim, I believe, bring up the issue of disability advocate because I was also curious as to where are we? It is so, so important for some movement on this and some action. And maybe at some point we could get an update on that. What I wanted to bring forward was around transportation. And several years ago, the provincial government provided funding to taxi companies to retrofit their vehicles to make them fully wheelchair accessible. Great idea. However, accessing those taxis, booking those taxis is virtually impossible. If you want to try and book something at 8 o'clock, not going to happen. But if you are successful booking it, you are not going to get a taxi to get home at 11 o'clock or 10:30. That's pretty, that's very, very frustrating when you can't rely on that kind of service. The frustrating thing for me is that government had put substantial dollars into retrofitting those vehicles. In some cases, $20,000 per vehicle. I would suggest to government that they stop doing it immediately and look at what they've done and figure out how can we make this much more accessible. If you're going to put the money out there, then surely, God, we should be able to use the service that's being provided. And it's not working, folks. It's not working.
No, absolutely
That's my
not.
comment.
Agreed.
Thanks, Joan.
Thank you, Joanne. Joby, see, Joby, Joanne. It's easy to get confused.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Joby Fleming. I'm Manager of Advocacy Services at Empower, the Disability Resource Center, and an advocate 27 years. So I've been doing this a long time, and like Joanne said, these are all issues we've heard many times. I want to bring more issue and detail around home support and health navigation tonight, because it is something that we all know is there. We all know it is affecting quality of life of people with disabilities, and it's not getting the attention or answers that are needed. So right now, currently, we are in a situation where the provincial home support review is ongoing for the provincial home support program. We've heard no more other than a consultant is basically hired at this point to do a review of a Deloitte report that is about 10 years old at this point. So I will tell you every single recommendation in that report is before 2025. So this is a serious issue at this point in time. And this goes way back before pandemic, for example. I can peg this to 2016. And in 2016, the policies became so restrictive for people with disabilities around home support that it seriously affected empowerment and quality of life and independent living. When you are in a situation that you are not able to receive home support unless you have a personal care need, you are basically being denied your quality of life. And we see so many people coming to us at Empower in advocacy and health navigation around this. In fact, there's about 5 appeals in at the moment around things like home support hours being reduced, the idea of workers not being experienced or standards. So when we look at equality, when we look at solutions, as you asked, Nancy and Marie, the solution is the home support review to happen, but not to happen by a consultant inside of government. That is wonderful as a start, but to happen as a committee struck with both community, leadership and professionalism, as well as with government. Because we are hearing from the individuals who are feeling safe to talk to us in community about what the issues are. We're in their homes every day doing home support assessments and reviews that they are put under in order to be able to show the independence that they actually have. And you know, the more independent they show, the less they get. So this is a serious issue in Newfoundland and Labrador right now. This is also, if we look at the way that government needs to look at things from a budgetary perspective or a health perspective in terms of funding, this is costing a fortune the way this is personally happening. I will tell you right now that there is assisted living centers full of individuals, both senior and before senior, waiting to be able to go home to get enough hours of home support to be able to manage after recovery from hospitalization. The independence is there in the eyes of the health authority, but and they're looking and they say they thrive for people to be more independent. This is making people less independent, the fact that there's no home support. So I can't say clearly enough the solutions. Part of the solution that needs to be looked at by that committee that I'm proposing tonight is also to look at the standardization, standards. We need standards and we need qualifications for our home support workers. We can't just give a salary increase to home support workers and not actually have experienced individuals who are able to do the job.
Yeah.
So this is a concern for us,
Yeah.
and I just
Yeah.
wanted to raise that tonight.
Thank you. And I think I'd add, Joby, in what world in 2025 should young people with disabilities be still living in congregate care? So I know there's at least one person who'd like to speak again, but before anyone speaks a second time, I'd like to see if there's someone who has not spoken. Yes? Okay, we'll go to people online as soon as this lovely woman right here is going to speak. You need to keep me on task there, you two in the back. Absolutely.
Hi, thanks so much.
Now you're going to have to speak up a little louder than
Okay,
that.
I'll speak a little
There
louder.
you go.
Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle Leclerc. I actually didn't know about this meeting until just this afternoon. I found out from Brenda Walsh, who I think she is here. Okay, great. And I'm so glad that I found out about it. I'm so glad to hear that you're planning on having more of these. The first thing I wanted to say was that you said this is a safe space. And what I've learned is that safe spaces make brave spaces. And a lot of the people in our community have been disempowered and disenfranchised and dehumanized and have had their dignities wiped from their lives because of things that were completely out of their control, despite fighting for them. And so thank you for creating this space for people to be brave and to stand up. And we need more of this. So I hope that we can get a monthly or bi-monthly meetings. I'm very fortunate to be standing here. This summer is my first year since 2017 without a cane or a wheelchair. And it's not to say I'm not still dealing with my conditions. And I, like many people here, it's never over. We get better and we get worse. And it's a roller coaster. And what Joby just said, the people, the better or more independent they get, the less support they get. And it's so unfortunate because we have so many people whose whole lives, the remainder of their lives, are going to be changed. And that means that their families are going to be changed, and they have to maintain some form of balance between working towards getting better and just trying to get through the overwhelming life that we have right now. You mentioned earlier how in the last 30 years or from 30 years ago, the systems have really decreased in terms of our supports. And I think a big part of that is because we are overwhelmed. Everyone is beyond capacity, beyond what they can tolerate, and just surviving. I'm so fortunate to be here today. Through my pain journey, through my disability experience, I was able to get a master's in occupational therapy. And thank you. And I was so fortunate that I was surrounded by occupational therapists and aspiring occupational therapists. I don't know, most people here probably know what occupational therapy is.
We do,
It's
yeah.
very rare for anyone to know. But I've been so privileged to have access to the education in terms of the ways in which our conditions can impact us physically, cognitively, emotionally, spiritually, how so many aspects of our lives can be adapted. There's so many things that we can do that you're working towards and that organizations like Universal Design are working on. I also had the privilege of being a home modifications assessment occupational therapist, where I worked with adults who've been in motor vehicle collisions and going in and doing accessibility assessments with a contractor and recommending modifications so that people could live safely and autonomously, having the autonomy to do the things they want and need or are expected to do at a level of satisfaction that they can based on their disabling conditions.
Right.
There's so many things that we can do, and it's so exciting that there's so many things, groups that are trying to come together and trying to build this community. I think we really have the ability to move forward with that. I grew up in Labrador City. I did my undergraduate here at MUN, and then I moved to Ontario for 10 years. And that was where my conditions, my pain journey really started, and my mental health journey. And that's one thing that a lot of people, we focus so much on the physical disabilities, but the mental health aspect of it, we often hear mostly about substance abuse, but the vast majority of people with disabling conditions, because they live in a disabling environment, they will develop depression. They will be isolated, and the life of someone with physical or disabling conditions is inherently traumatic. And we need to create spaces where we can come together and share and heal together.
So I'm going to stop you there
Yes.
because there are other people who want to speak. But
Yes, thank you.
thank you very much.
I
for your
appreciate it.
comments.
I have so many solutions.
Oh.
I have so many solutions. The great thing that I've been able to do in Ontario is working with these people. I've been able to see all of the resources that are possible when groups like yours and Universal Design come together and work with the government. And I mean, I've been making a list.
Well, here's the woman
Yes.
that you guys need to meet and
Yes.
talk
The-
and get that list and those solutions.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thanks, Michelle.
Is there anyone online? Yes? Okay, we'll go back to the online.
So I have Petra's comment and concern to share. I would like to address the Deloitte report the government paid money to have created. The report was published in August of last year. It is about having housing and homes for 3 different groups of persons. I am a parent of an adult with an intellectual disability and would like the government to act on the recommendations in that report, which refer to this group of citizens. The report recommends to create and support on live-in support model, where the caregivers live in the same home as the care receivers. There are lots to say about that. I cannot go into detail in line or on here, but those government officials who listen will know where to find more about this model and the Deloitte recommendations. I would also like to bring up the issue of the discrepancy in pay for those support workers, where those who work through an agency are paid more than those who are self-employed by the client. That's Petra. From Patty, on a similar vein, I would like the policies to include those that live with disabilities and their cohabitants. Work time off for when your family member is with a disability, an easy way to access that beyond the current EI structure. as co-treasurer, and from Chad, as co-treasurer of U2NL, one of the things we need is the rush on a disability advocate. No parties running so far have mentioned anything related to this advocate. Also, the NL disability benefit threshold should be raised and based on personal income, not the family, not the family of the person that isn't disabled. It's the person that is.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so it's
I have no idea what to tell them.
20 after 8. So I'm just going to see if there's anyone here who has not spoken, who wishes to speak. Yes, over there in the back.
Oh, no, I'd rather not be center of the room, but I do want to be heard. I think that it's really important to note that it's time our province updates our inadequate transportation for the whole province, not just the city. And a lot of it is a problem and a solution wrapped into one. Our DRL system not being accessible and folks who need to, like, I know of somebody who paid an exorbitant amount of money to attend a funeral, her father's funeral in Clarenville, because it was the only access was to pay for a taxi all the way to Clarenville and to pay that taxi to wait and then to rush home. So she literally had enough time to go in, say her goodbye to her father, and then go again, which is embarrassing for a province. I think it's really well overdue time for Metrobus to become fully accessible, and to have audible visual cues. They were able to add it to some buses for the Canada Games, which I think makes it further embarrassing that they turned it off. The moment that those folks went home, like, those screens are still there. The systems are in place for some routes, not all. But it wasn't important enough for our citizens with disabilities, but it was for our athletes and our visitors, which is really, really disappointing. I think it's really important to push to expand upon those Metrobus services as well, to reach just outside of the metro. And I do think that that is part of the solution to our housing crisis, to our affordability crisis. Those that are most marginalized need to live in the most expensive part of the city in order to access public transportation, to be able to move around, to be able to access basic services. So I do think that there is a lot of solutions in updating our transportation. But more than anything, I think that it's just, inadequate and outdated. It's time.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Okay, not if you've spoken first. I'm just waiting to see. Jennifer? Jennifer wishes to speak. Right here, Jennifer. Don't speak about anything political now, Jennifer.
I'm not here to talk
With
politics.
Dennis Schubert.
I'm here because I'm going to sit if that's okay. And I'm
Yes, go
quite
ahead.
happy to be in front of you.
No, it's
Okay,
okay. Go
Jennifer,
ahead.
you
You
can
can be,
say
oh,
yes.
you can block me. You get right in front of that camera. I'm good with that.
So I used to be a marathon runner. And 3 years ago, I fell through a rotten wooden porch and bashed the heck out of my knee. And I have a hematoma that's the size of an egg on it. So I went to every doctor I could find and said, can you please either drain this or cut it out or do something for me? And they have all said no so far. So I've been limping around like Terry Fox for 3 years, and I've gained 100 pounds. I now have, I don't usually make lists, but I want to make sure I get this: arthritis, instability, pain, and insomnia, along with anxiety and depression. And because of this, it's amazing, once you become injured like this, you start to realize things you took for granted for so long. I live in an apartment building here in St. John's, 4 stories, no ramp, no elevators, no nothing. So I'm climbing up and down stairs just to get out of the damn building. You want solutions, folks? No more grandfathering in old properties. I don't care how old your building was or is. Put in a ramp, put in an elevator, put something in there. I also have a job, and I asked if they could maybe work with me so I could work from home not even every day. I said, how about I work from home 2 or 3 days? I'll still drag myself into the office because guess what? The nearest Metro bus is 800 meters. And with this instability and with our winters, I have fallen on the ice at least 3 times in the past 3 years. And I have torn ligaments and I almost bashed my head. And I'm now actually off work because of not just this knee injury, but because of the insomnia, the pain. By the way, I'm addicted to sleeping pills too, so that's a whole other story. There are ways we can help people contribute to society like myself. I'm probably never going to go back to that job. And once my EI runs out, I'm probably going to have to leave this province and go somewhere else. And it shouldn't have to be like that. Some of you may recognize me. I moved here almost 20 years ago, my God. I was kind of the first transgender person to stand up and say, it has to happen here. Everyone can't just go to Toronto and live happily ever after. So I know what it's like to stand up to the government and get in front of government cabinet ministers' faces and yell at them. And I have done a lot of yelling in the years, and I've taken some punishment for that as well. But that's good news. If there's no disability advocate or activist, I'm going to put my hand up right now. I know it's a privilege to be able to grab a microphone and speak. And I'm quite happy. I don't care if I get fired at this point. If anybody wants their story told, let me know. And I will phone Patty Daly, because everyone listens to Patty Daly. Sometimes you get the Mickey Mouse voice on Patty. And then he hangs up on you, but he'll always call you back. So
Jennifer, in the interest of
I'm going
time.
to wrap it up, and I'm glad to be here. And thank you for creating this space.
Thank you for coming, Jennifer. All right, thank you. Okay, so we're getting, some online people,
Here.
and there's someone else. Yes. Okay, let's go online and then to this gentleman here.
And Chad wants to speak a man too.
So we have a comment from Beverly Lorraine here, and on the Go Bus, there isn't enough Go Bus for all of us clients. I am finding the steps are a bit hard to get up in front of, and they need to change. This is a 24 hours needs to be cut. I had a call to go to the hospital for a test the next day. I think I could get to go on the Go Bus, but no, I had to spend the money on taxi both ways. That is very expensive due to limited accessibility to the Go Bus service.
Okay. And this gentleman there in the back. There, yes.
Hi, my name is Corey and I'm here with my wife Tina. We've been on this road now for 23 years. We have a special needs daughter, development delays, cognitive delays, behavioral issues. And it's a long road. And like this gentleman here, Sid, you keep bringing the points up and you say them over and over and over again in your head, fighting for rights for people with special needs and disabilities. And it's like, no one listens. You have to keep on repeating yourself. And I think main issue, basically, why government is not hearing is, but we're a small population, but we got I'm first time attending an event like this, and it's great to see numbers, and hopefully, we can only get stronger. But more attention needs to be brought. And I mean, we're not out breaking into convenience stores or causing issues and stuff like that. And the government is taking care of those types of issues. Whereas like a lot of us or people with special needs, disabilities, we didn't plan to be born this way. We didn't choose to be born this way, but we are, and we got to make the best of it. We got to fight for the best quality of life that we can provide for these special people. Yeah, exactly. Well, my little girl's special.
His child is special to him.
So I really apologize if I say anything
No,
wrong.
you're
Trust.
new to us and we're
Yeah.
very glad you're here. You just keep on talking.
It's amazing how hard Kennedy has her parents to fight for her. And it's crazy how hard it is, that fight. There's nothing laid out. You have to overturn every rock. And talking to many government officials over the years, it's like, thanks for calling, Mr. McDonald. We'll see what we can do for you. But I get the feeling like they never want Mr. McDonald to call back. That's the feeling that I get. But I'm gonna turn over rocks, so I gotta turn over the Confederation building if I have to. But our biggest thing, the school system, they keep Kennedy till she was 21, then she aged out of the school system. So my question is, what happens at 21? Give Kennedy a respite care worker, an inadequate respite care worker with no training? Try and find that inadequate worker first. So the government's okay with giving a worker to stay at home and watch Kenny on her iPad, no development, no social interaction, no nothing, and they're okay with that. I think at 21, and the government knows how many people are aging out of the school system, there should be a program in place for a family want for their children to continue on to try and improve independence and their behaviors and cognitive function. There should be a programming in place after 21 when they age out of the school system. There are programming and services available in this province today. Funded by the government for people over the age of 18? No. These are changes. There needs to be opportunities for people past 21 because there's still lots of opportunity for them to learn and get the best quality of life possible.
That's right.
So there's a big need. Keep on turning over rocks. Don't be breaking windows or breaking the convenience stores, but be loud.
We be loud.
Thank you.
We will be loud. Thank you so much for coming.
Lori? I just, if I could, I just want to follow that. And I'm going to put on a personal hat for a second because I usually do when I'm in those spaces. I really want to thank you for what you said. There is no playbook. And I really appreciate it when somebody is willing to be bold enough and brave enough to wear their heart in that way and to come forward. There is no playbook. I'm also the parent of a young adult. Well, she's 28 now with multiple disabilities. And, you know, we always talk about persons with disabilities. Anybody can join our group at any point in time. It's true, right? It could be any of us in this room who don't right now identify. Tomorrow you just might. I think that we have to realize that families are persons with disabilities. And what you're speaking of with your daughter's disabilities become your disabilities in so many ways because we are families who actually go through this journey together. And I agree, we need to find some way to support individuals. We also need to be able to support families in that way. There are some really cool things happening, but I think that we need to, as a community, come together and recognize the opportunities that are growing in that way. Thank you so much for bringing that forward.
Yeah,
Really
thanks for
appreciate it.
coming. Okay. Okay.
Hi, sorry, I'm speaking for people. Number of people have mentioned about a disability advocate. And one thing that I have been reading about lately, I've been engrossed in the Fowler report. And if anybody knows, that's a recommendation that an advocate for persons with disabilities be included under seniors advocate and just focused on people who this report classified as those with complex needs. And really outraged me. I got really upset about it. And to me, that we need to say that we need a comprehensive, universal advocate for persons with disabilities, not focusing on one section. And to me, that somebody would write that, this guy's a judge, really diminished my opinion of judges, actually, that somebody would say that is like an ableistic step backward to anybody to suggest that's in 2025. It was lucky it was on the computer.
Okay. So I know there's a couple of other, thank you, people who had asked to speak again.
No, we've
Oh,
got a young person
where
down
we
here.
go? Where am I going?
First speaker. There you go. Raise your hand, please. There you go.
Oh, a first speaker.
There you go.
That's
Yeah.
what we're looking for.
Hi, I'm Faith Partridge. Brenda Walsh is my grandmother. Nana, sorry, she doesn't like it when I call her grandmother. I think for the social workers, they do amazing jobs and stuff like that. But I also think when it comes to people who are sick for the social workers, it's also hard for them to find workers, other social workers to come in. And I just think that, they just need to do, a better job for finding other social workers to come in, or even snowstorms, the roads are hard. Or the go buses with the roads and stuff. I think that, but thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So
Now I saw someone move, so I figure
you go.
you want to speak as well.
Hello, my name is Sarah King. I'm a self-managed home care worker, so I make about $250 less than those that work for an agency. And I came to Newfoundland 11 years ago and quickly learned that my diploma was useless. I have a developmental services worker diploma. But in Newfoundland, you just need to be able to breathe and be 18 and pass a police check. But if you're a self-managed worker, you don't even need that. So it's kind of a scary system to be part of. There's no incentive to get qualifications. As Joby was saying, qualifications and experience are incredibly important. And some of my best coworkers have been people who are engineering students or just completely, they just have experience and they don't necessarily have qualifications. But there's no incentive to get better. And for myself, 11 years later, I'm making significantly less than the people that I graduated with. And I continue to choose to live here in this wet, dreary, cold place. But I live here and I do love it. I've created my home here. This is where I started my post-graduation career with a lot of enthusiasm. And for reasons of my own, I chose to leave the agency and start being a self-managed worker. My clients choose to hire their own workers, but they didn't even know I was getting paid less until I told them. And if Dobys in CBS and back when I worked at Mile One can both increase your wage when minimum wage goes up, the government has a lot more money than Dobys. But it's just the right thing.
Yeah.
And the last 2 times minimum wage went up, I didn't see an increase with no explanation.
And I think what you've just brought is the other side of the home care issue, right? And as people speak about self-managed care and looking for well-trained people, it's a fairly open pool, so
Yes.
therefore, so.
And in rural Newfoundland, the agencies are agencies in town too are having a hard time finding people, and then they're not training people properly. But the people out around the bay, they don't have another option. And if you're only going to pay somebody an hour more than minimum wage, why would they do that job?
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Again, I'm just going to check once more to see if there's anyone who hasn't spoken. If not, there's a couple of people who want to speak again. Not seeing anyone. So I know you wish to speak again, and then Chad, I know you wanted to speak again. Oh, no, to the microphone. Hold on, microphone. Yeah, right here,
Give it
please.
to me.
Yeah.
I'll speak briefly. I'll call you, Nancy, in the next couple of days. But I just wanted to say thank you to Sarah for the important work that she does
It's very important. And if nobody told you that today, we do appreciate you. But I want to say another aspect of the home care piece as well. For several years, and especially since I got back here, everybody from the government, everyone is like, don't you have a home support worker? Don't you have somebody to come and help you with that? Isn't there somebody that can come help you with that? No, I'd rather do it by myself. If I can, I'll do it for the people who can't, because that's how I want to live my life. So I'm able to do that, and I'm very fortunate to be able to do that, and I'll keep doing it as much as I can until I can't do it anymore. But it's just the isolation and everything that comes with that, that I feel like I had to be dependent on somebody else for something that I'm able to do myself, because people don't look at me properly. It 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 saddens me. It's very scary. I work very hard to keep myself as independent as I can, because I don't want to be dependent on somebody and to have to rely on somebody to come in to help me if they can't. Or there's been times where I've been let down by several people. So I just find it easier to do it by myself if I can. Sometimes it's a struggle, but that's just what I choose to do. And I don't like people trying to push me into something that I don't want to do. I would gladly give my hours that the government is expecting to give me to somebody else who needs it and wants it. I would really just love to do that, but like I can't get them to leave me alone. It's just because they see me in a chair and they're just like, oh, she needs help.
Yeah.
Yes, there's sometimes I need help too, but sometimes people have bad pain days too. My mother is able-bodied, but she also has psoriatic arthritis. Not once has anybody looked at her and said, oh, you need a worker to help you open a jar or something. It's like, I don't know.
It's a perception.
Yes,
It's a perception.
very significant systemic perception, and I hate saying that because there's people in this room who genuinely need it who can't get it.
Yeah.
I don't want it. But just don't give it to me. I don't want it.
No, we understand. People, as we said at the beginning, people have very different circumstances. Chad, you wish to speak a second time?
We've just been reminded by Joby when he mentioned home support workers. There's another part of that where we have deaf people and hard of hearing that need workers that have ASL. So my solution is, because I'm graduating 12 people next week before I go to my conference in Texas. So I'm willing to help those in need to get that support. And I offer my courses for free. It's just a 3-month course, and they'll be able to help people with the deaf and hard of hearing. So another thing I want to point out, and just for very quick, because it came to my attention this afternoon, that we have a new health facility called the Hub over on Savannah Drive. And that is going to be a real pain trying to get there when we have people from Janeway. And all of the outpatient services are moving over there, where we have people who have kids have different appointments and different sessions on the Janeway on the same day. Now they won't. Now they have to have problems going from one appointment, and they have to go all the way over to Costco old building because there's another appointment there. They can't. We moved to Waterford Hospital for a reason, because we were taking people from the Waterford over to seeing the doctor's appointment and then bring them back, which caused more problems for the staff. Now the staff has that problem solved, just going through the tunnels and bringing them over and then bringing them back. Now we're taking out the outpatient services for people with disabilities, and they could be at the new mental health hospital, and the appointment could be just right on the first floor, but now it's not. Now you have to go through the whole process again, arranging a bus or something to come pick you up, but they may not be able to, and take you all the way to Costco. So what is sense? We build a new mental health hospital to join everything, so we get people to the appointments, and now they can't. They just
Change
have
it
to.
all over again.
Yeah, we have to all over again, and more money has been wasted.
Thank you, Chad, for bringing that to our attention. There's online there.
Hi, Todd. Can you go ahead and unmute your mic? Test?
Yes,
Perfect. Thank you.
yes. My name is Todd Tilley. I have hearing loss and I have mental health issues. And now just scribbling a few things on a notepad there. And I don't know if it makes any sense or not. Look and listen, we're living in the 21st century, for goodness sake. People with disabilities should have had a disability advocate 25 years ago. The healthcare system should be more proactive rather than reactive. Otherwise, mental health issues will continue to rise if people with disabilities stay dormant. What they need is VRDP or a similar program to help along with the mental health, psychosocial help. This way they may be bettering themselves with employment. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you very much, Todd.
You're welcome.
So I know that there was one other person who wanted to speak, and then if everyone is okay, I'm going to offer the politicians who have, or budding politicians, existing politicians, I got my language all wrong this evening. Interested politicians, or hopeful politicians, to speak. So if you would mind, just very briefly, if you wanted to get up, but I will ask you to be very brief because I do want to not take us too much past 9 o'clock.
Of course. I do, like I said, I'll reach out to you, Nancy,
Please.
afterwards.
Yes.
One thing I think we can absolutely do as a community is advocate for rehabilitation education programs here in Newfoundland. Memorial University could absolutely be a place where we could have master's programs for occupational therapy, physiotherapy, social work, speech language pathology, audiology. And Kona is another education system where we could get rehabilitation assistants and PSWs trained and working here. We have so many resilient and smart and incredible young people who are going to Memorial for their undergraduate degree, but if they want to do anything in healthcare other than nursing, they have to leave the province. And
Yeah.
what do? They stay there. We could have so many more healthcare professionals who can help with system navigation and help with advocacy and home modifications and safety and so many things if we were to get them to stay here. And we can absolutely advocate for us to have a university program or university programs that would allow us to
Okay.
have rehabilitation providers stay
More
here.
providers, absolutely. Okay, thank you very
you, Jill.
much. So as I said, I'm not even going to describe you anymore, but you know who you are. I did see Sheila O'Leary here. She has left. I know she wanted to speak, but she had to leave. So I do see a couple of candidates over here, I think. And maybe over there in the back, perhaps. Let's see. So again, same rules, 3 to 4 minutes.
Okay, I'll try and follow the rules. My name is Philip Barton. I'm running for Councillor of Ward 2.
Okay.
I have ADHD. I remember growing up, often people would ask my mom, who's a strong advocate. She's the reason why I got my diagnosis. This is back before anybody got diagnosed. My mom did the research herself, screened the doctors and said, this is what my child has. This is what they need. You don't know what you're talking about. My child doesn't have this, doesn't have that. She was an advocate, right? But she was often told, when is this going to end? That was a question. And it used to sink in my heart whenever I would overhear people say that. It was so painful for me to be told that the way that I am, the way that I was born, is something that needs to be fixed. That's the big issue with services for accessibility. It's how can we stop you from needing this? How can we stop you from spending our money? It's the same thing with homelessness and everything. They want to end homelessness. They want to get rid of poor people. It's like, what's wrong with being poor? What's wrong with needing help? That's the problem. We're looking at this as a problem, but this is just people who need help. The problem is that when the government, doesn't have enough money, when the money isn't rolling, when the taxes aren't coming in, what's the first thing they cut? Well, this is unnecessary. Someone who needs it for their life, someone who needs to get from here and there, they need it, they don't get it, right? It's the first thing that get cut, right? Needing help is not a problem. It's a great thing. We should be excited that people are asking for help and believe they can get it. We live in a country where there's the expectation that they can get it. My wife grew up in a country where, good luck, she grew up in Bangladesh, okay? They don't have wheelchair accessibility, they don't have anything. The fact that there's funding at all. So I want you to know that I'm going to be an advocate. I think it's crazy the way politics is. We don't have ASL, we don't have captions in even if you look at parliamentary, anything. I mean, there's not even captions, and it's accessible. Even the websites aren't even properly accessible. As a website designer, I'm a huge advocate for more accessible websites. Literally nobody does that. I mean, there's also inconsistencies. If I want, I put captions in all my videos because it's a human right to do that for people. And from platform to platform, it's different. It's somewhere else. It's on a different part of the screen. Sometimes you don't have it all. Facebook doesn't have it all, or sometimes they do, but it just the system glitches. There should not be system glitches that prevent somebody from having access to information. Everybody should have a seat at the table. And there's so many things we do. I live in downtown, which is probably one of the most unacceptable places for people who have accessibility issues. I mean, even for people who are let's get away from having any sort of accessibility issues. Think about a pregnant woman trying to get access or walk around or live in downtown housing. Imagine living in a place that's got 3 stories up to try and get to a bedroom when you're trying to carry a child. It doesn't matter. Accessibility is important. It's a human right. The first thing that I'm going to do when I get into office is I'm going to advocate to start a conference on a yearly basis to work with the people who build houses, build this city, and the people in the government to work together and to talk together and to force everybody in a room. Let's stop this email stuff. Let's stop this. I'll get back to you. Let's put everybody in a room and let's have them talk and discuss and get things done. So again, I know I have to end, so I'm going to say thank you for letting me speak. And this is really,
Thank you very much.
I love this, and I hope you guys have more, and I'll be back.
Thank you. You can come up
Whatever you
here
want.
and turn around. Yep.
I'm getting laryngitis too, from all the talking.
I'll just poke you in the back. If
Yeah,
that's
no,
got-
I'll keep my peripheral vision for the 5-minute second warning. So, and I wanted to look at everybody here in this room. So my name is Bianca Lono. I am a candidate for deputy mayor for the upcoming municipal election that's now next week for the city of St. John's. But I wanted to take that hat off for a moment because my father was he was disabled for more of my life than he wasn't. And I was also the decision maker for him. And going through the system of him living here in Newfoundland was challenging to say the least. For so many different reasons. And I appreciate that you brought up the mental health piece because I'm going to tell you that that was his decline before he passed away. Because I mean, not having the freedom and the dignity that he always, enjoyed, and having that taken away really, really broke him down. So I don't want to cry. So I'm gonna shift gears for a moment, but I moved away and I came back after living in Ontario for 20 years. So I experienced what that looks like, and it looks very different. And I'm gonna say, even before I left and since coming back, the city of St. John's, the province of Newfoundland, is the most inaccessible province and city I have ever experienced. And I have been to other countries around the world. And in this day and age, 21st century, it breaks my heart to hear some of the stories of the basic needs that are not being met. So as much as I can only commit to so much on council, I'm going to look to anyone here in the room who is a provincial candidate, because I think that that's going to be a collaboration and a partnership between the province and the city to improve that. So in case anyone is not aware, Ontario back in 2005, and I'm going to use this as an example because we're only 3% of their population. So if they can do it, we can do it too. They introduced the Accessibility for Ontarians Disability Act. So in my mind, for Newfoundland, that would be the Accessibility for Newfoundland and Labradorians Disability Act. And the scope of that applied to both public and private sector. And the standards, they created a mandatory accessibility standards in key areas of daily life. So this was a commitment to the province, to the residents, and within all the municipalities to work together to make that happen. And I think that that is very possible here in the province of Newfoundland and in the city of St. John's. So I'm just gonna quickly touch on the 6 different aspects of that.
Very quickly.
I will be very quick. So customer service, how that's provided with people with disabilities. It covers off information and communication. So websites, looking when people are on social media. Transportation, public transit, as we know, which is a huge one. And design of public spaces. That doesn't just include sidewalks, trails, parking, but that also looks at the design of new spaces and new buildings that are being built. And this was something they had 20, so they designed it, they had 20 years. They gave 20 years to the province. They are still experiencing gaps, but keep in mind, we're a very small portion of the percentage that they have there. So if they can work on something like this, there is no reason why this province can't do the same. And I think that starts with exactly what we said of having an accessibility advocate. You know, in this room, you are the stakeholders. And you should be a part of those decisions. And I mean, it's really easy for someone like me to explain how it's important to be able to have a walkway that is accessible when I'm not the one with the issue. But to your point, we could all be in that place. If it's only 30% of this province is having, they qualify as disabled, that number is only going to grow over time. And we need to start preparing for that now, not later on. I mean, it's too late. So with that's all I'm going to say. And I just think that we can do something, we can do better.
Okay, thank
We
you.
can definitely do better.
So any other candidates who would like to speak?
Veronica,
Oh,
come
you'd
on.
like to speak anyway? Oh,
Wait, no. I've got
okay.
2.
You come and
We'll
then
get right here.
to you.
Oh, she gotta go.
Oh, you're waiting on the go bus. Sorry.
Would you
You're not
sit
as-
down,
you
just
come
sit down for a second?
Sit.
Sit down with us.
You can come sit with us. Look.
We're going to see. She's waiting for go bus.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you.
For go bus.
Real accessibility.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
You should be.
Oh, it's just,
Can you hear me through it?
yes.
Oh. I'm always so quiet. Anyway, I just want to move up here in the front so I can turn and look at people.
Just have the mic a little closer to your mouth, to your
Okay,
face.
okay, is that better?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so my name is Brenda Walsh and I could almost be in tears listening to everything. Can we get a copy of the conversation here tonight? Because this is amazing, absolutely. I am running with the NDP for the provincial. I'm running for Mount Pearl and Southlands. And the reason I am running is because of disabilities, because I don't hear enough about it. I don't hear people talking about it. And like somebody had said, the candidates, nobody has mentioned it. Nobody. And I listen the best I can. And I just think we have to not just talk about it, we have to roar, because I feel that nobody's really listening to us. Like, we can come together in groups like this and discuss. And the things that people have mentioned here tonight, I have a disability and I live the measure of these. I have to use public transportation to get around. I have to have an attendant with me every day for 11 hours so that I'm able to get out of my bed and I'm able to have a bath. Like, just simple things in life that if I never had an attendant, if I didn't have somebody to come in and help me, I would, there wouldn't be me. And as my granddaughter, beautiful granddaughter, got up and spoke, she wouldn't have her Nana. One thing I heard a few years ago was a gentleman in Hamilton, and I lived in Ontario also for many years, but he spoke up and he said,
I don't want to die, but I can't afford to live. And that's very sad. That is very sad that we've come to this. And I don't know if everybody has heard about MAID, medical assistance in dying. Why is that a big thing? Why are we having that discussion? Because people can't afford to live with their disability. This is something that just should not be, we shouldn't even have to be discussing all of this stuff, because you would think it should be just a thing that we give to our people, our humans. And we have to roar, we have to come out to stuff like this to try to get government to pay attention to us. I just think it's a shame. I seriously do. I mean, yeah, I could be here talking political stuff tonight, but that's not why I'm here. That, yes, I'm running, but I'm running to get in because all of this stuff needs to be discussed at sorry, I hate it when I lose my thoughts. I think I don't know if that's an age thing or it's my MS.
I'm gonna ask you to clue up anyway, because we have at least one more speaker,
Yeah,
but
and
thank you.
like I said, I use the Go Bus, so, and I probably will be getting a beep soon, say the 15-minute call is here.
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
The
mic is here. You want to know, best to get the mic here. You can stand up here though.
Thank you. Is it working?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I won't take the full time for sure. I just want to say thank you. I was happy to get the invitation to be here today. I'm glad I did. I had the distinct pleasure of being put into the cabinet position about 3 weeks before the election in this area. And I'm happy I did. I did get the opportunity to have several meetings with individuals. And just so we're very clear, we're committed to the standalone disability advocate. We understand how important it is, but the difference is we want to make sure we talk to those and co-develop how this is going to look. I think that's what we need to do in this room, and partnerships. And I think thank you to the councillors that are coming here and deputy mayor hopefuls that are coming here to listen to the concerns as well, and other candidates. Thank you, Brenda, for that. I don't claim to know anything about this, but I claim to want to listen and learn. I'm happy I came. What I would like to say is that this only happens with partnership, both from the municipal level, the provincial level, and the federal level. But it just can't happen there. It has to happen with you in this room and the many thousands of other people that are affected. We need to hear from those and ensure that their voices are heard at the table. And that may not be happening as much as we would like, but we need to be better at it. And thank you to everyone that asked questions here today or made statements and solutions. I'm looking forward to seeing some of your solutions. I can't wait to see that. So, but thank you very much for being here, and the commitment level in this room is top notch.
Thank you very much. Okay. I think we're done now, except for Nancy. We're gonna do the shutdown now. Okay, so with that, those concluding remarks, I'm just going to thank you for your attention. Really appreciate again. Nancy has talked about the fact that this will be available, and hopefully this will be the beginning of a number of really key conversations.
So I just want to say thank you. But one thought that's going through my mind, we often in our community speak about nothing about us without us. Well, this is us, and we're here together. We're not going anywhere. And I believe that this community is really going to grow and get stronger. We're witnessing it here tonight. There's some new faces in the room, individuals who have come forward and said, this is the first time I've been a part of this community in this way. And so that's only going to grow. My commitment to you from the coalition, from this particular evening, as I said, we're going to have it available and include ASL so that our deaf community can fully understand what was happening, and then follow it with an opportunity for them to really participate fully. After that, all of that information will be pulled together. We're going to make it available. The transcription of this will be available, and we're going to go forward and upward. This information is not just going to sit in an office. It's going to be circulated to all of those who are running for office and anyone who wants the information. That's my commitment. And so I just really want to say thank you to each and every one of you for your participation in this evening. If you have any questions, I am always available. Nancy@cardinal.ca, 722-7011. Find me. You guys will manage to do that, I'm sure. And look forward to going forward. Thank you so much, Marie, for your continuous tireless efforts as a part of this amazing community that is just getting stronger. So safe travels for all of you who are physically here tonight, driving back. Thank you all for coming. Really, I'm here for a while if anybody wants to talk. Thank you again.
Thank you.